I might have the I might have the controversial opinion. No, it's very unpopular. Hear me out. So I'll just say it. This movie is on par, if not better, than the first Black Panther movie. There, I said it. This is the 30th MCU movie. Ending off of in general, but this is ending off Phase 4 of so far 6 of the MCU. What was something so huge no one could imagine or dreamed of being pulled off has become something so big we're all sick of it. And once Phase 5, we'll probably have good movies again. Okay, no, that's not true. There were good movies here, but people just complained about the bad stuff. So they will be seen as so great. People will be back on track for enjoying the MCU and being excited for the next Avengers movie. And with Phase 7 being announced, and the cycle will repeat. It will never end, and people will just stop gaining interest in these things and be tired of them eventually. But so then. Now, with all that said, while Phase 4 was a mixed bag for me, getting into specifics will probably give me an ulcer, because I've had many long conversations with jerks I've met about this. I don't think I hated any of the movies in Phase 4, really, not even one. The shows were just okay, and She-Hulk was She-Hulk. I mean, hey, She-Hulk better than I ever She-Hulk. That's something I can't say I've ever done. I never She-Hulked before, but at least they weren't Black Adam. I am tired of people just complaining about the MCU not being as good as it was before, and talking at it all as if they're doing nothing now that's good. Like all they're doing now is just abysmal. Please stop it, please. Now, with that said, MCU movie number 30. Okay. Director Ryan Coogler has been given the challenge following the first superhero movie nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. So people who worked at the Academy that year thought, fine, we'll finally stop having people complain that they never nominate superhero movies for Best Picture. And then we got, Joker the next year. So that would be a movie that actually kind of goes, that's actually a movie we would work as a Oscar movie because, the Oscars. But this movie did have the challenge of, Chadwick Boseman dying. Now, Chadwick Boseman dying was a surprise to all, and everyone was devastated, but I'll get into that later. For now, I should explain what I thought of the first movie. Well, people did claim it was overrated and just okay. Well, I think it was really good. It's just going to be like Avatar, where it raised such high bars, and gotta claim that first-time watchers will expect the world out of them. But besides that, I think it was great. Like, it had a likable hero, great villain, and a good cast of characters, world building, action, etc. Well, okay, the action was in, but and I've seen it a few times, but it had been more than like 4 years since that it came out, and I didn't rewatch it for this since I didn't really need to. Now, so don't expect much in terms of comparisons or contrast from the first movie. But with Chadwick Boseman's passing, personally, my biggest question going into this was how they were going to handle his death in the film, that being the character of T'Challa's. But thankfully, it's done tastefully and respectfully. Like, no CGI resurrection or someone going in every second like, remember T'Challa? I'm saying his name wrong. I'm tired. Please forgive me. And making me annoyed hearing it every time. Everyone gets their moment to feel the sadness of T'Challa's passing, and we as an audience understand how this impacts the world, the characters, and the opening scene with Shuri, played by Letitia Wright, was a great way to get its audience ready for the next 2.5 hours of what the kind of movie that we're going to get. So with that said, what is the movie about? Now, I would honestly think the plot is pretty simple. Despite being 2.5 hours, I saw many people complain about the plot being convoluted or too long. Like, I don't think it's, I don't know, I wouldn't call it that. It's pretty simple, with it being a year after T'Challa dying. T'Challa, I don't know. I'm tired. Please forgive me. As I said, I deserve as many excuses as possible for saying the name wrong. Wakanda is in a vulnerable state, and not so vulnerable state at the same time, as our country is the only one in the world to still have Vibranium, the strongest and most powerful metal on Earth. Many wanting it, but despite them no longer having a Black Panther, they can still protect themselves from the rest of the world, but underneath a new challenge arises. Namor, played by Tenoch Huerta Mejia. Namor, the king of Talokan, who are basically Alantians that look like the Na'vi from Avatar. I can't wait for the Way of Water, who have their own Vibranium and want to go after the person who invented the technology that could attract Vibranium, but not trusting the world above in general. Namor plans to kill the person and then conquer the world, with or without Wakanda as an ally, leading Shuri to figure out what to do to make things right and save Wakanda from this new threat. So, what did I think of the movie? I thought it was great. If not the best superhero movie I've seen this year, which means this rivals the Batman. But well, people will probably argue about this and then forget why they care to argue about it in the first place. I want to list everything I like about the movie. I like the humor is toned down. There is humor, but it's appropriate, it's actually funny, and it never bothered me. They didn't, like, have the funeral with T'Challa in it, and someone just went, it's a shame he died, but he looked good dying. Or, I don't know, I'm just improvising. I think the entire cast nailed their roles in the movie. Everyone is great. Angela Bassett gives an Oscar-worthy performance for her scene with Okoye. And if you don't know that scene, you'll know which one when you see it. Letitia Wright makes a great lead as she has an arc going for loss and saying that not everything has an answer, but being what as people we make out of it is what defines us as she learns more about Namor, and he's great. I don't know too much about Namor in general. I know he's one of Marvel's first characters ever, like Marvel Comics in general, like one of its first ever characters. Its first, I think, was the Human Torch, which was not the one for the Fantastic Four, but it was a robot. Then Namor, and then Captain America, which, you know, Captain America is Captain America and Namor's Namor. He is one of Marvel's first ever comic book characters, if not, let alone one of its first successful ones. So he's still known to this day, and has been in stuff. But in this movie, I really like this character. His powers are cool. He's intense. We get a lot of time in the movie to understand his motivation. He's not one-dimensional. We learn more about him. I'm really interested in learning more about him. And I don't know whether or not he's better than Killmonger. Again, it has been a while since I saw that movie. He stands on his own in this movie as a threat who isn't just some one-dimensional villain, as I said, or over-the-top, really, despite having, you know, wings on his feet. This is the first Marvel thing I'd seen maybe since Endgame. Maybe No Way Home, I can't remember. I didn't know what was... No Way Home, I was surprised, but I definitely didn't feel, like, worried. Here, though, I didn't know what was going to happen at times. And I was worried things might not actually go well. I love the little moments that really let the film show what choices and consequences does to a character and impact the story moving forward. For what I didn't like about the movie was some of the CGI was bad, and while I liked Martin Freeman in this movie, his character should have only had the one first scene he was in with, and that be it. And because what he does afterwards could have been cut, but for like a 2 hour and 40-minute long movie with credits, I don't know how long with just credits, I don't care. I was never bored. It never felt like 2 hours and 40 minutes. Like the people I watched this with did say it felt like that, but it didn't for me. It felt more like just 2 hours and that's it. I know some people might say the story drags on, but I never felt that. And maybe watching this at home will change my mind, but other than that, I didn't really hate anything about the movie. I didn't hate any of the characters. I enjoyed the action, the world building of Wakanda. It becomes so much more fascinating every single time I see new things about it and learn new things about it. It's probably the most interesting location in the MCU, which is saying something since it was already so great in the first movie too. Now, I will say though, if I had to predict though, what would have been like if Boseman was alive to reprise the role, I would imagine Shuri would have been the one who invented the Vibranium detector and T'Challa have to rescue her from Namor. And that's as far as I can say without spoilers. But without spoiling the movie, probably. I really like the character who does invent the tracker. She's like what I wanted America Chavez from Multiverse of Madness to be. Also, for all the people who complain or piled on She-Hulk for its feminism, this is a superhero movie with all the protagonists being black women. Like, there's maybe, like, one guy I would consider part of the main group, but, like, he could be cut, and, like, everyone else is just black woman. And no one's talking about that. This is, like, a big deal, and yet it's not shoved in my face about girl power. Like, no, this is how you write, you know, good characters about this. Just let them be characters. This is probably the first superhero movie with a black woman as a lead, and they did a fantastic job as that than most movies with white women. Unless you count Halle Berry's Catwoman. I don't. Now, no, wait, that's not to say she's black, though. It's because that movie was terrible. But overall, though, this movie was great. It may not be perfect to everyone, But I personally just didn't have that much to complain about, and not much to like about in general. It really feels like it earns everything that should come for it, and in the memory of Chadwick Boseman, Wakanda Forever. I give Black Panther Wakanda Forever a 9 out of 10.